Okay, then again, a warm welcome from our side in the master program Geodesy and Geoinformatics, and for the students of specialization of geomatics at Leibniz University of Hanover. Also again in German, because we have German-speaking students, of course, that understand English. Herzlich willkommen in eurem Masterstudiengang. Wir sind hier im Raum A104 und wir werden auch gleichzeitig live gestreamt auf dem YouTube-Kanal der Fachschaft, damit alle, die heute nicht da sein können, uns auch mitbekommen, weil wir diese Veranstaltung einmal ausrichten werden. So welcome also in our live stream hosted by the Student Council on YouTube, so that all the students that could not be here today also get the possibility to follow this stream and this event, in which I want to tell you a lot of important things for your master degree and for the specialization of geomatics. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tanja Grönefeld. I'm one of the both student coordinators for the master and bachelor degree program of Geodesy and Geoinformatics. I have studied geodesy and geoinformatics myself in this university. Then I've made some experiences in governmental offices and in companies. And then I got back to be a student coordinator. So I'm very happy to be here for all the students that study these programs. I'm always open to you and I would like to get to know you. So I'm looking forward for all the students to come back in Leibniz University in person, and we are very happy to come together in different events in the future. Today I will give you a bright overview about what is important to know in this degree and how to study this. And then I'm going to point out other important persons that you can come to if you have any questions or problems. And this is one of the main tasks. You have to be self-responsible and to go and come up to us in case you want to success in your studies and in case you might want to seek some help. Okay, I want to introduce our second coordinator. This is Nadja Pirau. I will talk for her because I have the microphone on. She's our student coordinator also for the bachelor and master programs, degree programs of geodesy and geoinformatics, and she's also a student coordinator for the other programs in our faculty. We are a faculty together with the civil engineering part, so she's the one who knows the most things in our faculty. Now, so we both are here in presence, and for you we have specific consultation hours, so you can meet up in our offices directly, just popping in the door. And of course, you can always come to us on appointment when you write or when you phone us. So also a very warm welcome from her for all the students that are listening here in presence and on our channel. Thanks for coming here, Nadja. So the next thing we're going to look at for you to get an idea and an overview of our university. So the university is split up in 9 faculties, and one of them is the Faculty of Civil Engineering and Geodesy and Geodetic Science. I have the wrong name there on my slide. And this faculty has a lot of so-called institutes. That's a word that we use in German language and in English language, then in a translated kind of way. And the 4 institutes that care about the research and the teaching for this master program and this specialization are the Geodetic Institute, the Institute of Photogrammetry and Geoinformation, the Institute of Geodesy, and the Institute of Cartography and Geoinformatics. Plus, in this faculty, we have also an administrative part, and that is led by our dean, Mrs. Professor Insa Neuweiler. We have a faculty information officer, and for you students, most importantly, the dean of studies for geodesy and geoinformatics, that is Professor Schön. He will introduce himself in another event for you, and for his part, he has his own office of student affairs. This is how I translated the German word Studiendekanat, and these are the coordinators, Tanja and Nadja. So we are kind of the right hand of Professor Schön, doing all the administrative and all the welfare stuff for students that are related to these both programs, Bachelor and Master Geodesy and Geoinformatics. And the Master Geodesy and Geoinformatics, since 1st of October, is split up in 2 specializations, and I will talk about this a little bit later. So the institutes, quite important for you to get to know the symbols and the name of them. You can divide them a little bit by what they are teaching about. So the Geodetic Institute is about engineering, geodesy, and land and real estate management. You see the names of the professors all together. I have to count through. It's 10 of them, including the young professors and the special duty professors, kind so called. So a lot of people caring for you to be mainly responsible for the teaching, and then they have a big number of people from what I generally call the staff members. Mostly of them, they are PhD students that do also research for their PhD, for their doctoral studies, and on the other hand, they do the teaching with you in the exercises or even in the lectures, and when you do your master thesis, for example. So the Institute of Geodesy cares about all the physical geodesy and navigation stuff, the photogrammetry, as the name says, photogrammetry, and also remote sensing. And the fourth institute on that list cares about all the things that have to do with cartography and GIS, of course, and some SLAM and route planning. Okay, so that's a rough overview. We have 4 of these institutes that you will encounter throughout your studies, and that will care about all your teaching and all the welfare which is related to the contents of what you learn and the people that do the teaching with you. So next step, we want to see, who should I know? Some of you have already taken part in the orientation program and got an overview. For you, very important people, that is the Student Council that also supports us today here in the whole program for the first semesters, for the welcome week, and also technically to be able to stream this. So I'm very happy for us to work very well together. That is the Student Council. They are kind of your voice. They are there for you. It's a part of the students that plus on their studies in their free time. So they don't get any money for that. It's not their job. So it's their free time activity to care about other students, for the ones that are new, for the ones that have problems, or for the one organizing different things like social events, excursions, and working together with other universities worldwide that teach geodesy and geoinformatics. And they have also books that you can rent and lots of other services that are there for you. So also a very good idea to get in contact with them. And then I have a short overview who to contact in different questions. So everything that's about studying, you can contact the study coordinators. That is me, myself, and Nadja. So in case you say, okay, I don't know which one of the exams I should take, or I missed some of them, I failed, what should I do? I need a special plan for myself to get a time schedule done. And when you have fear of losing a job, when you have money problems, when you have social contacting problems, and when you don't get orientated very well, anything, that's us to contact. But you also have a lot of other people that might also be sympathetic to you, that you want to call on when you are in some kind of trouble, or when you have questions. So for us in Germany, it's in our university, we expect this from you, and it's completely normal to go up to person and ask any kind of question. Because if you don't do that, you will not get it done if not everything is running from itself and going well. So, and for the examination, we have a chair of the examination board who can also help you if you have some requests about your exams or about your credit points. That is Professor Müller. And we do the work with him together for these kind of requests. And we have somebody sitting in the examination office, which is a central administration unit from the university. So they care about all the degree programs and the administration of your credit points in the system called QIS. And that is Mr. Meyer. So just that you heard the names and that you know that there is these institutions. Everything is headed by the Dean of Studies from Professor Schön. And then we have a colleague that cares about the equipment, the time schedules, and the room bookings if there's something that you might want to check there. This is Mrs. Bödecker. I'm going to show some pictures in my next slide. And then you're never alone here. If you seek some help, if you want to get to know people, if you want to get together, you have your fellow students. You can ask any staff member that you encounter in your lectures and your exercises on the hallway. Everybody will always be happy to help you and at least tell you who to ask next to solve your question. And also the professors. The professors, okay, they are the ones that are the head of the institutes leading the whole thing here and also taking your exams, but they are also persons and they always like to care about you. I've made many experiences, especially in the time where we had to be online all the time. And the professor saw the students only by camera. They also ask questions, how are you? Why is this exam not going well for you? So they know you students because in this specific degree you only be a very small number of people. For example, this semester in the master degree specialization of geomatics, it's only 15 to 17 students, we don't know yet, that started this program. So you're going to be like a small class in high school. I don't know how big your classes in high school were, but in Germany it's something between 20 and 30 people. If you have specific courses, it's smaller. And then if you choose to have elective courses, for example, you're even going to be less people. Like sometimes it's only a group of 5 people or 10 people, depending on who appears on that day. So that's the heads of this, the pictures. On the left side, you see Professor Schön. Then you see me. Then it's Nadja, who I introduced some minutes ago. Professor Müller, the professor caring about the exam board, and then Christine Bödecker for the rooms and the equipment. So that's kind of our team, who are main idea is to be there for you students and to help you. Then I want to have a little, just shortly information. I'm not going to read and explain everything. Just for you to know, we have a supporters association. The German word is Förderergesellschaft für Geodäsie und Geoinformatik. So it's kind of a club for all the people that study geodesy and geoinformatics in this university and that formally studied this here. It's really, and they support all the institute, the student council for any expenses they have. And in case, for example, you take part in an excursion and you have to pay a specific amount of money to do the traveling and do the hosting, they will support you while you are a student, and it costs only €5 per year. So it's a good idea to be a member in that. Once you're working and earning more money, the membership will be a little bit more, but also for a year, not much money for €35. So then back to your studies and to a topic that is important for all the students that did not study geodesy and geoinformatics in their bachelor before. So we accept also students, for example, from civil engineering, from some degrees that deal with electrical engineering or communications, anything that is quite near to geodesy and geoinformatics, that bring the right skills to be able to study this. You have gotten a provisional admission. So it's very important that the 3 requirement courses that you have to study, that you have to pass them within the 2 first semesters. In Germany, we always talk about semesters, so 1 semester is half a year. The semester winter starts in October and goes until March, and your next semester, your next study period is from April to September. So the people who started now have 1 year time to pass their requirement courses, which will be September in 1 year time, September 2022. And the requirement courses are called Introduction into Geodetic Data Analysis and Adjustment Computation, Concepts of Geodesy and Geodetic Methods, and 3D Image Processing and Programming. So this is 3 courses we specifically worked out, and we're running them for years now. to give the students that did not study geodesy before to catch up in specific topics so that they will be able to study the degree and to understand all the other courses. People that did geodesy before, like for example, the most of the students from this university, they come from the same bachelor degree, and they can just start up with the normal program that I'm going to show you in the next slide. And just for your information, all these 3 courses, I have a look at the timetable. So the first one starts on this Friday at 11:30, and the other ones will start off next week, just because of the fact that you have all the orientation program in this week. So you're able to take part in these events, the informative events like this one, or the social events with the other students and your mentors, so that you don't have things going on the same time. And so the requirement courses will start at the end of this week and next week. And this is our suggestion that if you have these requirement courses, you really focus on them in this semester. You are allowed to take part in other lectures and exercises if you're interested, and if it fits to your time schedule, and you're also allowed to earn credit points from other things. But most of the students that get used to studying here in another university will be all good on focusing on these 3 requirement courses. So now it's going to be interesting for the students also for the specialization of geomatics. That is your rough plan. It's only a little bit blurry picture. I don't know if you can read the small names, but we're going to go through these different modules. So that's your time schedule for your whole degree. It's divided in 4 semesters, and it's based on that you have passed the requirement courses and that you start up from you. So on the upper left part, you have 6 of these boxes, what we call modules. It's like a learning unit that you get 5 credit points for. And altogether, you have to collect 120 credit points to pass your master degree course. Your master degree, yes, that's it. So the 6 basic courses are compulsory, so every student has to study and pass these 6 courses, and they are divided into sections, kind of geodesy and geoinformatics. Then the green ones are the elective ones, the compulsory elective. Let me see something, the mandatory electives we call them. Yes, you have a... Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch to a question because there was somebody from the live stream in the chat, and that's how we want to have it. People listen to us here in presence and in the internet, and they have a direct question that is really important. I didn't tell it in the beginning, but I would have passed on to this topic to another time. Will all the lectures be online this semester? And the clear answer is no. This university, completely, all degrees, all students are coming back in presence. So you have a timetable that we can go through if you want to. And generally, all the lectures, all the exercises, all the labs you're going to have, everything is going to take place in this university buildings. For some exceptions, there will be online parts, maybe, depending on the teacher that says, okay, last year, I gave this online and it worked very well, or I have some videos or some other exercises that I recorded in any kind of way, and I'm going to use them again as an extra option to learn, but the main teaching is going to take place in these different rooms, okay, of this university. So for the geodesy and geoinformatics students, most of the things going to take place in this building, and the one next door maybe sometimes. Maybe you're going to be in the main building also, but this is like going to be your second home, so just for you to get used to be here. I think we can go on like that, so if there's going to be other questions in the chat, then I'm going to be willing to answer them right away, or I say, okay, that's going to be told in a few minutes anyway. So let's get back to that schedule. So you have the 6 mandatory on the upper left side, then you have 7 of the green boxes where you can choose a mandatory elective, so mandatory because you have to choose of a specific list of them and you have to fulfill at least 7 of them. And then you have the 2 projects that are supposed to be in your second and third semester. So we count the columns as 1, 2, 3, 4 semesters time you take for this degree. And you start up with 3 of the mandatory and then the next one. So they are divided in the winter and summer semester so that you can start in that degree 2 times a year. Okay, then you're gonna have to choose 7 of them, each of them 5 credit points, so that they sum up to 35 points. And then you have 2 projects, and then 1 big light gray box of Studium Generale, the general studies. And I'm gonna go through these in my next slide as well. And then for your finishing semester, in a period of a maximum of 6 months, you will work on and write your master thesis to finish your degree. Okay, so the basic courses, the mandatory, are split up from the contents of them in geodesy and geoinformatics. I'm not gonna go through them name by name, but they sum up to 3 times 5 credit points each, but they're gonna be listed in a single for each of them in your final certificates, just for you to know. But so you know the names of them, and they cover like all the bright topics of geodesy and geoinformatics. So you have some engineering geodesy, physical geodesy, and positioning navigation. You have some photogrammetry, GIS, and land management and real estate. So that's like the 6 big topics you have throughout your studies, and so that everybody from the specialization of geomatics is all set up with the same basics. You have these 6 courses, and then you start to choose whatever you are better in or more interested in, and that are the elective modules in geodesy and geoinformatics that sum up to 35 credit points, each of them 5, so 7 of them. Little bit of math for getting awake today. And then you have 2 project seminars, project seminar 1 and 2, and the number 1 includes also a presentation seminar. They sum up to 14 credit points. Then you have elective modules. That is supposed to be a possibility to choose anything else that is offered in university. So you can have just general courses on key competences like presentation techniques, or how do I apply to a job, how do I work in teams, and so on. And you can also be taking part in language courses, and you can have all of them accredited to your 11 points of Studium Generale. There's some specific rules, but I'm going to explain that in an extra when you have questions to that, because it's going to be too much information for that time now. So the project seminars are really a specific outcome of our degree. So you have these 2 project seminars that run all together, will run for 1 year. You can have 2 different topics, or you can stay in one institute and have like an ongoing topic. And the main idea of that is to solve a complex and a research-orientated problem within a group. So it's not working on your own. You will have to work together with maybe a number of 4 or 5 or 6 other students to be a team and to solve that task within the 1 semester, and to have a presentation and a report in the end. So the idea of that is to work on a geodesy or geoinformatic idea and content, but the main task about this is to do it as a teamwork. So it's like getting used to work with other people together to get to a specific goal, like you will do it in your job later on. I said it's safe, responsible project work, but of course you are guided and led by others, by the staff members of the institute that will offer that topic. So at the end of every semester, there is such and such many of the topics going to be presented for the starting in the next semester. And so that the students have an idea what it's going to be about and what they can choose and how they're going to build the group. So that's a task of yourself, to build up the groups to work on a specific task. Then just a short idea of what the geodetic presentation seminar is. Each summer semester you will have the possibility to find a topic that is presented for your oral presentation. So the idea of that specific exercise is that you talk here for 15 minutes in front of an audience, and it's going to be surely going to take place in this specific classroom. You're going to prepare a presentation or a presentation, probably with slides, and you're going to talk 15 minutes freely about a about a topic from your degree, and then the other ones are going to ask questions like in a real audience, and in the end you just have to pass it, but you have to talk for 15 minutes about sensible topics, then stand the questions in the discussion and maybe get a feedback, and that's what you have to pass. That is related to the credit points of the project seminar. And then in the end, most of the students do it as a very last option in their studies, but it's also allowed still to have other exams while you do your master thesis. That's really completely self-independent exam where you do some research and some maybe also practical tasks. There is one formal thing that you have to have 30 credit points before you start that, but in the most cases that's not interesting. It's just a formal step that you have to take when you apply to start your master thesis. Most of the students study their 3 or more semesters in one row, and then they do their master thesis to finish their degree. And at the end of the turning in your written book, your printed book, you have a presentation of 30 minutes, and the master thesis gets a grade like every other exam as well also. And it makes up like a fourth of your GPA, of your overall grade, because it's 30 points from 120. So it's a really big work in the end. Okay, we're gonna switch to a completely different topic. That is a thing that we care also as students coordinators. If you want to go abroad during your master studies, we will help you organize and decide what you're gonna do. So it's an option. Some of our students do this, and they use the time of their studies to go to one of our partner universities. That's just an example of where you can go. But if you have an idea, okay, I absolutely want to leave this country and go to another country that is not named here, or have a specific university, it's probably going to be able, probably going to be able to organize this, because our professors and me and others have contacts for everywhere in the world. And the good thing using places in exchange programs is that you're going to have some financial help to pay your travel expenses and your stay there, and at the same time you're still a student of this university. You pay less of the fees, and you don't pay any study fees at the partner university. That's why we have these contracts. So if you want to, even if you come from another country here, it's maybe an interesting idea to even go there for a few months of your time here. So if you want to stay here all the time, it's also fine. So you are already abroad for your studies anyway, but it's maybe a good idea. There's also the possibility of doing practicals in companies during the studies. For all that, there is programs and financial help from our international office. So if you want to go abroad and get some more experiences in your life, then you are warmly welcome to contact me, especially because I'm also the international coordinator for our degree program. And I'm going to help you to make a decision where to go and how to organize. It's good. It's going to be all a little bit of administrative stuff and of planning. What kind of lectures are you going to have at home, and which of the lectures and exercises and credit points are you going to earn in another university in another country. So a rough idea, the moment before you want to go, you come up to me 1 year ahead to start the planning, because it's all a kind of a process to be able to organize and decide about all this. I very, very deeply hope that you have already visited our webpage of Geodesy and Geoinformatics. That is always a good place to find all the information you need for your study. So I just assume that the most of you students that are in our degree now that applied have visited this page to get information about the structure of the degree, the contents, and what the modules are about. And what I wanted to talk especially is the handbook. That is a big file, a PDF file, like a book of some hundred and something pages, and all the modules, the little learning units, the boxes that I was talking about, so all the different lectures and exercises are described in this handbook, and all the rules about the exams are also integrated in our website. So you can take up all the important information for your studies there as well. So maybe you don't remember where it is or what it was about. Whenever you're going to write me, I'm mostly also going to post a link in the My Answer, so that you can look up this webpage anytime and just read what it's about. Just going to have a short look, and then I'm going to answer your question. Go ahead. Okay, very good question. I'm going to translate right away. The question was if the master thesis has to be done in the university each time, so for every master thesis. The clear answer is no. Some of our master thesis topics are done in cooperation with external partners, that is, for example, governmental offices or companies, which is really well known for students. So either the students already have a job with this company to earn money to be able to study, and they want to do this in cooperation, or the other way is you find a posting for a master thesis topic from an institute, and it's going to be in cooperation with a company because the research is done with some company of, for example, navigation equipment, or for some photogrammetry software company, or whatever you want to have your topic on. So there's always an idea, and it's kind of good possibility for students to get a first sight at companies and at the real work, because a lot of times a student who does their master thesis in cooperation with a partner like a company often starts to work in the company after the degree is done. But that's just how it's still your decision. You don't have to stay there, of course, but it's a nice idea to, if you're, for example, if you're especially interested in very practical work and not just more or less theoretical research work. Yeah, there's another question from the chat. Okay, probably the student that asking that question means the project seminars. Well, the project seminars, I will answer this for that option, are organized and planned by the institutes offering the topic and building, taking together 4, 5, 6 students to work on the topic. And they seldomly, but sometimes, are done in cooperation with other partners, or maybe the work, the practical work, or the interviews or something. So the students have to go out to some offices or to companies to do interviews, or to do maybe to loan some specific equipment, stuff like that. But that's all gonna be done in the team together with the staff. So it's not choosing a topic yourself that you came up with and doing a project. It's going to be suggested by this institute. Okay, we're going to work on this and that task, and for that you have to get in contact with the company or somebody else to be able to solve the problem. I hope that answers the question. Okay, then for all the people that are very new to this university, there's some important dates in your first semester. Okay, I'm going to repeat this a few times because every semester we have problems with that. And that is, you have to apply for your exams online on yourself. So you're completely self-responsible for applying for exam. If you don't do it in the time slot that is planned for this specific semester, then you're not going to be able to take any exam in that semester. The exception is that your requirement courses are not going to be registered online. So for the people with the requirement courses, you tell the professor or the teacher that is giving the requirement course, yes, I want to take part in the exam in the end of the semester, or you want to postpone it for one semester, that's your choice. But for any of the exams from the complete degree, so the mandatory, the electives, the projects also have exams, so you have to register online for them. And for this semester, it's going to be in winter. It's always the last 2 weeks of November, and the exam period is to be planned, but it's probably going to be from the mid of February to the mid of March next year, which still belongs to the winter semester. And if you want to find out when your exams are gonna be, then there's gonna be a list on our webpage counting all the exams and giving the dates and the rooms and the specific conditions. So, and this list is at least gonna be online on the 15th of November when you have to start applying for them. Then another important date is in case you want to take part in a project seminar next summer semester. Say you start your studies now, you study your first semester now, and you want to do the first project next summer. Then there's an important date in January where the new topics of the next semester projects are presented. This date and also other ones are also posted on our website in specific PDF links. Okay, so you will always find these dates there. And that's what I say, look at the dates of the department at the semester planning webpage, or for the dates of the department, because this is specific geodesy and geoinformatic dates, like presentation of the projects that are done. You might want to take part in that, so you see what the students in the year above you have worked on and how the presentation will run for you next time. Do you have a question? Okay, I think I heard something. That's fine. We can always talk to each other, even if it's streamed live. So I guess any question that is called will be interesting for anybody listening to us. So since a lot of our students in the master degree come from other universities, other countries, other degrees, I want to point out some study rules that are usual in our university and in our degree. That is, you will have different types of courses. So a lecture usually takes place like this, me talking here in the front of a room, trying not to talk all the time yourself, because most of the time it's going to be just going to be a few people. So it's allowed to ask questions, and it's even expected, and so that kind of a discussion can start. I heard of all our lecturers and people giving teaching in online were suffering from people not saying one word during 1.5 hours. So it was really hard for them to do some teaching just by talking to a microphone and a black screen and seeing themselves or their slides. So once we are back in the rooms, in the classrooms, please start again with taking part by asking question, or just if you don't understand something, you raise your hand and can you explain this again? And anybody doing teaching will be happy to do this. So we are really excited and eager to see back your faces and to be able to talk to you and to enter some scientific discussions again, even if it's only about understanding the basic of that course. Then the other type of course you're gonna encounter a lot of times dealing with the content of the lecture is the exercise. So that's going to be more of a practical thing. Maybe there's going to be some slides and some work, some talking in the front, or sometimes also still with a chalkboard. But then you're going to have tasks that you solve inside this 1.5 hours most of the times of the exercise, where you need to program something, you calculate something, or you find out, or you have some tasks or some exercises to be solved. So this is also a live event. And then the exercise also most of the time contains a few homework exercises that you have to work on your own and then turn into a specific date. And this is the thing that I want to point out, which is really important and which is told to be very German-like. That is, if there's an appointment, like the lecture starts at 10 o'clock, then it's 10 o'clock sharp. Or when the excursion starts, then you have to be there because then the bus is driving away. And same for turning in exercises or turning up to exams, which is really important. The hour that is written there is always the time that it will start sharp. So if you have to turn in something until the 15th of November, turn it in on the 14th of November at the night before, because then you're sure to have passed this. Okay? So this is, if you turn in something late, then it's just not gonna count and you have to start over all over again the year after. So this is the specific thing with the exercises and turning up to exams. And then you have other courses that I already talked about that are project, is more kind of a group work where you meet up at specific appointments that you can choose yourself, and then you divide about the things that you have to work on and do even smaller groups with 2 or 3 people, and then you meet back again and you exchange what you have been working on and how you want to design your project. And you have seminars. For example, the presentation seminar is also very different from a classical lecture or exercise that is taking place in a classroom. Then there is general rules and exercises, appointments and deadlines. That's mostly what I was talking about already. So for the homework exercises that you turn in, we also call it lab work. So if you encounter the word lab work in the module, in the handbook, then that's what it's meant to be. So for example, for one course of 5 credit points, you will have to turn in 3 or 4, for example, homework exercises within these 3 or 4 months of lecture time. And there's going to be specific dates when they have to be turned in. So at home, you work on a task, you calculate something, you do some programming code, you have some results, and you have to write a little report about it. And that's what you turn in as a homework on a specific date. And in case there's some calculation or some writing mistakes, you get it back and you have a second option of turning it in with the corrections. And depending on the institute, they will have, okay, you can only get it back once or twice, and if you don't get the mistakes better, then this exercise will not be passed for that semester. So I'm not going to go too much into details, just for you to know there is specific rules for the exercises and the homeworks, and all of the teachers will tell you the rules at the beginning of each course exactly. So if you miss them because you could not come to the lecture or something, you have questions about it because you didn't understand it, always ask for them so that you know what you have to, what task you have to hit there. What's the next point? Well, that's just a general hint that we have seen with a lot of years now that people come from all over the world to study our degree here, that the handling and the studying itself has a very different culture. I always call it the culture of studying, not only the social culture about what we have in history and what kind of food we eat and so on, and how we act with each other. So that's a main point that students, together with the people in the staff or the other German students, are struggling with. It's the way of studying and the way of communicating, and that's the thing that you have to learn very soon. And just for you to know, why is the person talking and acting like this? The general expectation of somebody giving you teaching is that you do it self-responsibly. So you are here because you want to be here, and you are learning this and asking questions and turning in everything on time because you want to pass it and you want to earn the credits. Of course, they're not like really cold persons, just all the other way around. I know all our staff members and professors, they really want you to pass it and want you to learn it because they are burning for that topic. Say there's a professor talking about something specific in photogrammetry or in GIS, they're really fond of it. I mean, they don't do anything else all day long until midnight sometimes and doing research about this. And then there are students sitting there wanting to learn that topic. So they really want you to solve it and to understand it. So it's not going to be, okay, all the students there, I don't care about, I'm just talking about my topic. But on the other hand, they expect from you that you ask question if you don't understand it, and that you do the exercise on yourself and turn it in. So just to know about how they act and what the expectation is here. I assume that it's going to be, that it's different in other countries, just because what we have made of experiences, how the students deal with these communication hints. Okay, a very, 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 very important thing is related to that. That is, if you're supposed to do a homework yourself and turn in your own report and your own calculation, then do it on your own and do not copy. Because in scientific methods all over the world, there's a rule: don't copy. If you copy, you don't pass it, and in the worst case, if you do it in an exam, then your degree will be finished. I mean, this is really extreme what I'm telling about. It's not going to be done in the first row, but just for you, perception, this is like the most important rule. If you're supposed to be doing and passing something on your own and proving, okay, I have understand and I have solved this task, then it's about you to pass it on your own and do not copy it from somebody else. Exception to that, group work is defined as a group work, and you have to solve it as a group for the projects, for example. And then again, the hint, the German time, I call it. If something's starting on that time, then better be there on that time. So just to have a small introduction to our study culture. Okay, another important thing is the examinations, of course. They mostly take part in the time where the lecture don't take place, so in February and March for the winter, and in August and September for the summer. Again, you have to register on that time. You get your login and your password on the data sheet from the registration, but the mentors are going to show you all about this specific, or the student council about the specific technical logins and stuff like that. That's the exam time. And again, you are self-responsible to register on time. If you don't register, then it's too late, and you can not take the exam in that semester. And maybe also a specialty about our study system. You can take the exam and do the exercises whenever you want in your studies. If you take part in a lecture and in the classroom exercises, you don't have to turn in something, or you don't have to go to the exam in that semester. Most of the time, of course it makes sense, and most of the students take part in the exam when they were in the lecture. But in case you say, okay, I have several lectures, I don't know which one I really want to do this semester. I'm listening to, I don't know, 7 of them, and in the end I will do 6, because then I sum up to 30 credit points in average. Then you can still have a choice of if you do it this semester or or half a year later. So every lecture is offered once a year, but the exams can be done after each semester, so every half year. Just for you to know. So again, there you are self-responsible, and if you struggle with, I don't know if I should take it this semester or next, and how much can I take part, how many exams will I be able to do, that's the point where you contact the study coordinators, because we're going to do an individual plan for you, with you together. So whenever you have missed exams because you were not ready, or you were sick, or something else happened to your life, and you want to catch up, then it's about to come to us for a personal appointment and go through that, and then we will be able to help you to make a sensible plan, depending on how well you did the the courses up to now. Decide which exam you want to take part is always a good plan. So another important thing, the exam regulation. So the exam regulation are kind of an official law that is delivered from the university, that we, of course, from the program, we worked on that, and it was officially issued by the university and signed by the president. And That is a law. So in case anything goes wrong or there's questions about the exams themselves, it's always going to be directed by committee that is called exam board. So in case somebody is not okay with the grade or has to have special rules about the exams themselves, then it's always the exam board deciding about this. Or in the worst case, a court of Germany. And there is a time schedule for exam appointments. So look on the webpage, and they're also posted in this building. And look for other time schedules if you do exams that are not from our degree or not from other faculties. So for example, if you want for your general studies, you want to follow a course from the law section or the economy, or you go to the mechanical engineering, to the civil engineering, have a course there that you want to accredit to your general studies, then you have to look out for the exams in their web pages. Then the exam rules. So you can take each exam that you need or want to take for electives any time in your studies you want, and you can repeat it twice. So you don't have to do a certain amount of credits each semester, and you can do as less or as many exams per semester if you want. Of course, we suggest to always have about 5 or 6 of them, so you get done in the 4 semesters of the degree. In case you need to stretch your studies because you're encountering some difficulties, then it's going to be another choice. But in case you do not pass one specific exam, you can repeat it 2 times. So you have 3 attempts for each exam. In case you fail it because you couldn't answer the question or you did too many mistakes. All of the exams in your master degree are going to be oral exams. So you sit with a professor and another teacher in a room and answer some questions for about 15 minutes and take some discussions. And there is one course that has a written exam only. You understand? You have all oral exams where you come up for a 15-minute appointment and you talk about what you have learned in the course. So you're going to be asked questions. And for all the also German-speaking students, it is interesting, whatever the course language has been, you can always have the choice of being examined in German or English. So for each single exam, you can have that's what is written in the exam regulations. I mean, if you feel comfortable because you have learned all the specific vocabulary in English anyway, then you're free to do it in English as well. But if you feel more safe talking German in an oral situation, in an exam situation, then you talk to the examiner before that you want to have it in another language. But there's also going to be courses that are taught in German as well. And also there, which is really seldom, I guess, but also there you would have the possibility to be examined in English, but it doesn't make very much sense if all the courses have been taught in German. Okay, so you have your first attempt, your first repetition, and your second repetition, and the specialty is that in elective modules you can choose the best examination. For example, you have to choose 7 of these mandatory electives. And one of them you started, okay, I didn't pass the exam or I didn't go to the exam because that course was not so good for me. Then you just start another course and you finish that one. So in your transcript, it doesn't matter if you started to have elective courses, but in the end, as soon as you sum up to 35 and you have at least 10 points from geodesy and 10 points from geoinformatics, then everything's fine. So you don't have to repeat the exam the next semester. You only repeat an exam that you don't pass when you register for it again. Did you understand this? The both of you? So if you start an elective course or something for your general studies and you don't want to go on with that, then you just don't finish it, and that's why you have the choice. And even if you pass more than the 35 credit points, for example, you can choose which of them will gonna be in your final certificates. So don't be afraid of not passing an exam in one of the elective stuff. So because it doesn't really matter. You can repeat it if you want, but it's not going to end your studies. And for all mandatory stuff, so for the 6 basic courses, for the projects, and you're going to have these 3 attempts, and if your 3rd attempt is not passed, then you will not finish the degree. So then you are exempted. There is one exception to that. The master thesis can only be repeated once, not 2 times. Okay, that was a complete overview about what is important in studying, how is the whole degree structured, what kind of modules do you have to take, what can you choose, what is mandatory, what is the rules about studying, what is the rules about exams. And this is the point where I would be so-called finished with what I wanted to tell you with my slides. So we really deeply hope that you enjoy your studies with us in person. So meet us if you want to get in contact. And again, a very warm welcome in Hanover, in the city of Hanover, and at Leibniz Universität. I would like to discuss something in case they were too complicated or too specific, because we have people listening online as well in the stream, so they might want to have answers to your questions as well. That's a practical thing. And since we are just a small group of people, I would like to invite you, if something was not clear about what do I need to elect from in the courses, because you're already starting with this with the main track, right? And then do you know what to choose from the electives? Have you had a look in the handbook? Do you know what 2 courses to take? Or you didn't? Okay, so you're doing it parallelly. And are you already taking some of the mandatory then, of the 3? Okay. And what about you? Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, you can choose more than you need and just have a try in the first weeks. That's a possibility. Okay, it was pretty clear. In case it's not, it's always a topic to come to me or have a short email or a short call with me. Okay, that's the idea about it. Is there other questions from the chat? No. Since we have to stay anonymous, that's what only me is being filmed. I know your name, but do you have any question? Because sometimes you looked a little bit confused about all the rules from the exams or the elections. So you can design kind of your studies a lot because you have the choice. I'm gonna switch from this to the website to show you one important thing. So this is the website. I'm waiting for the cam. This is the website from the degree program Geodesy in Geoinformatics. And in case you wonder why I was always talking about the specialization of geomatics, this degree has 2 tracks. One is called Geomatics, and the other one is in German called Navigation und Umweltrobotik, which means navigation and field robotics, which other students are studying in mostly German language. And so you are part of the track of geomatics, which includes geodesy and geoinformatics. So, and if you scroll down, you have a hint for getting in contact with the mentors. And this is like the most important part, the semester planning. Can you see it well? Yeah. So you have what I call the dates of the department. That is only in your second interest. But you have the timetable, which is quite important. And you have this handbook. And I don't know if I got internet right now. And that's the handbook I was talking about. So you flip through that one. And you have an overview of what page is which description of the different modules, and The point I want to get to is the list of the, I could have looked what page it is. Ja, da fangen die Modulbeschreibungen an. But I wanted to go to page 47. Okay. No, the overview is somewhere else. Okay, I'm flipping through that. It's a long PDF. That's the structure. That's what I was talking about. Okay, ein bisschen kleiner hier. Okay, that's one half of the list of the mandatory electives. You remember the structure? You have 6 of mandatory courses that you have to pass for your degree. And then you have a list of 2 pages for lots of different courses that you can choose 35 credit points of. And you see at the end of the line, each of them is always worth 5 credit points. So you have to choose from this and the next page, you have to choose 7 of them. Okay? And 2 of them always have to be from geodesy and geoinformatics. So you don't have to, you cannot choose all the 7 from only geodesy and only geoinformatics, because in the end you're going to get a degree named geodesy and geoinformatics. So that's just the only rule there is for these 7 electives. And then I'm gonna switch back for the general studies. Oops. We have some of them in our handbook, and some of them are also in English, and some of them are in German language. So that's a choice for your general studies. So they are called leadership skills for engineers, business administration. So things you really want to learn and to know for your future career and for your working in companies or with other places. And there's also an excursion that you can take part, and that's the credit points you get when you take part in these different courses. But that's only a choice that of courses you can have for your general studies for the block of the 11 credit points. And anything else you want to make and you want to take part in from our university, from the completely courses we have in the whole university that makes sense to have to pass this degree, they will have to be accredited by the exam board with a short request. But if you take some of them and you add up to the 11 points you need for the completely general courses, 11 points, have a free choice, you don't need to write a request. Then they're going to be added to your transcript automatically. That's just the difference. And since I'm in that topic, there's a new rule that you didn't have, for example, in your bachelor studies. You also had the general studies in your bachelor. From the 11 points, only 8 from them can be taken from the key competencies and or from language courses. So if you do a language course and you do a course from we have a central a service center called Center for Key Competencies. You can have courses worth 2 credit points, and it's weekly seminars, weekend seminars, so that all the students can take part. And it's for example, it's called holding scientific professional presentations, or learning skills for working in big companies, or for being boss or leading something interesting that is given. I'm going to come back to you for any students. And you take courses from then the sum of all these language and key competency courses can only be 8 of the 11. So you have to take something else as well to sum up to the 11. Yes? Yeah, if you it was a little bit too noisy, I'm sorry. Yeah. So the most, yeah, you can move it to the master. So the question was for the students who studied a bachelor here, be it geodesy or anything else, because we also had civil engineer from our university changing to the geodesy master, for example. If you have anything leftovers from your bachelor that you didn't use for your 180 credit points, then you don't need to get it on the transcript of your bachelor. You can use it for the master, because if it's something that is just general and not especially for first semester bachelor students or for really nearly done with their PhD. So if it's possible to have the same kind of level, it doesn't matter which semester you're studying or language course. I mean, if you have never spoken French before, then French 1 is fine for bachelor and for master students, because you start off with a new topic. And then you can have this one shifted to your masters. And the most important thing for you to know, as soon as you're done with your bachelor, you contact the responsible person, Mr. Meyer, in the exam office, and tell him not to write it on on your final transcript of Zeugnis, no? Because if you did something over the least points, so the 180 for the bachelor and 120 for the master, you can study more and also have the credit points added to your transcript, to your final certificate, because you did more than you needed. But you can show this whenever you apply for a job. So the most important information for bachelor students is don't have it listed there, because then it's like used up. And if you want to have it shifted to the master, you just inform the administrative staff person called Mr. Meyer, for the best part, I guess, by email, so that it's administered sometime. And you have to do this before you're done, or the very last day before your final certificate is printed. But don't be too stressy about that. It will take a time. So whenever you turn in your bachelor thesis or you do your last exam, then you call him and say, oh, that's the ones I want to have on my certificate, and that's the one I have to have shifted to my master. Okay, that was a really special question for students going without a pause from our bachelor geodesy into the master of geodesy and geoinformatics. Is there any other question, things that you want to have repeated and don't understand, people that are here? I look up the time. We have been talking for 1 hour, 10 minutes approximately, so we are good in time. Okay. Anything that you want to ask that might be interesting that I forgot? I'm always open to that. Okay. Then for the rest of the day, it's gonna be an introduction to our computer room that was planned there, but I think it's gonna be postponed to another point where more students are there. Is that right? Did we discuss that on Monday? Or is the computer room introduction? Okay, then I think since it's not too much time until then, go ahead, have some lunch in the surroundings. Grab something from the student restaurant or from the other places around university, and then turn up in the computer room. I will show you when we go out of this classroom. I will show you where the computer room is, and the student named Jan Erik that is also responsible for administering this room said that it's hopefully going to be opened in 1 to 2 weeks, so that you can enter the room again to use our university computers to do your work. Yeah. And then there's the welcome party at 4 p.m. from the mentors for the international and for the master students, of course. Then, in case you want to take part in one of the mandatory lectures, there's something going on tomorrow. And on Friday, you have the first lecture of your requirement courses, 3D image processing and programming, which is going to take place in the room upstairs in the A255. And the consultation with the mentor, so what courses should I follow, which one of the electives or from the mandatory is interesting for me, that's maybe going to be done either to that point of time, or they will tell you on another way by email. Maybe they're going to do it parallel to the social events. because it's only a few of you arriving here, having arrived here, and we are expecting more students to come tomorrow that move to Germany, being a new country for them, and also in the next week. So we are always happy to welcome more and more new students coming from abroad. And I can only repeat, get in contact with us, with the students, with the mentors, to get settled and to have a good welcome here in our university and in our city. Okay, then thanks for streaming. Should we stop that now? I think we are done with all the topics. And I will still be here in person for you if you want to have a one-to-one chat. Hold in distance with 1.5 meters in a room. But if you want to move freely, then of course enter the buildings with the rules and wear your mask at all times in hallways and when you cannot keep the distance. Then, thanks for that. Everything that you see is generally physical. Yeah, if it's going to be online, then it's going to be pointed out specifically. So, since there's a room in front, Raum is German for room. That's not hard to understand. If there's a room, then it's physical. Okay. And you turn back in on Friday at 11:30. That's a good time in case you still have a jet lag.